The sun peeked through the curtains as Maya opened her eyes. 5 years had passed since she left her hometown. Now, she was back. She stood at the edge of town, staring at the "Welcome to Riverdale" sign. The peeling paint showed how much time had gone by. The town looked smaller than she remembered. Maya walked down Main Street, her suitcase wheels clicking on the sidewalk. Old shops had new names. Faces she once knew now carried more wrinkles. A few people nodded at her, not quite recognizing the woman she had become. The coffee shop still stood on the corner. Maya pushed open the door, and the familiar smell of coffee beans wrapped around her like a warm blanket. Behind the counter stood Tom, his hair now sprinkled with gray. "Maya Bennett? Is that you?" Tom's eyes widened. Maya smiled. "It's been a while." 5 years. "What brings you back?" Maya's fingers tightened around her suitcase handle. "My grandfather passed away last week." Tom's smile faded. "Old Mr. Bennett? I'm so sorry. He was a good man." Maya nodded, fighting back tears. Her grandfather had raised her after her parents died. His house at the edge of town was now hers, along with all its memories. After coffee, Maya walked to the house. The garden was overgrown, the paint faded. Inside, everything remained exactly as she remembered. Books lined the shelves. Her grandfather's reading glasses sat on his favorite chair. Maya opened the windows to let fresh air in. As she moved through rooms filled with the past, she found a letter on her grandfather's desk. It was addressed to her. "Dear Maya," it began. "If you're reading this, I've gone to join your grandmother. Don't be sad. I've had a good life. The house is yours now, but more importantly, I hope you find what you've been searching for. Sometimes we need to leave to understand where we belong." Maya wiped away tears. She had left town to become a photographer in the city. She had found success but not happiness. A knock on the door interrupted her thoughts. When she opened it, she found James Henderson standing there. They had been best friends growing up, until she left without saying goodbye. "I heard you were back," James said. His eyes were still the same deep blue she remembered. "Just for a few days," Maya replied. "To settle grandfather's affairs." James nodded. "Need any help?" "The house could use some fixing up." The next day, James arrived with tools. They worked together, repairing the porch, cleaning the garden. Words came slowly at first, then more easily as old walls came down. "Why did you leave without saying goodbye?" James finally asked as they sat on the newly fixed porch steps. Maya looked at the sunset. "I was afraid. Afraid of staying in one place forever. Afraid of never knowing what else was out there." "And did you find what you were looking for?" Maya thought about her life in the city. The busy streets. The lonely apartment. Not exactly. Over the next few days, Maya reconnected with the town. She helped at the local festival. She took photographs of places she had forgotten. She had dinner with James' family, where his mother still made the best apple pie in town. One morning, Maya woke up with a new idea. The house felt different now. Not a place of sadness, but of possibility. She called her boss in the city. "I need another month off," she said. Then she walked to the empty storefront on Main Street. 3 weeks later, Bennett Photography Studio opened its doors. Maya's city photographs lined one wall. New pictures of Riverdale filled another. At the opening, James stood beside her. "So you're staying?" Maya looked around at the familiar faces that had become dear to her again. "Sometimes you have to leave a place to know it's home." Outside the window, Riverdale continued its simple, everyday life. Maya had once thought it too small for her dreams. Now she understood that dreams could grow anywhere, even in the soil of your hometown. In her grandfather's letter, she had found her answer. Some journeys took you far away, while others brought you right back where you started, but with new eyes to see what was there all along. Emma Wilson stood behind the counter of the small city cafe, her hands carefully wiping down the polished surface. The morning sunlight streamed through the dusty windows, casting long shadows across the worn wooden floor. She had been working at Hillside Cafe for 3 years, dreaming of one day becoming a manager, supporting her elderly mother, and making something of herself. Richard Thompson, the cafe owner, was a hard man. His sharp eyes missed nothing, and his temper was as bitter as the darkest coffee he served. Emma knew every inch of the cafe, could predict customer orders before they spoke, and always kept the place spotless. But today felt different. The bell above the door chimed, and Richard emerged from his back office. His crisp white shirt was pressed, his hair neatly combed, but his face carried a storm. Emma's heart began to race. She had seen that look before. "Emma," he called, his voice cutting through the morning quiet. "Come to my office." The few morning customers looked up, sensing the tension. Emma smoothed her apron, took a deep breath, and followed Richard. The small office was cramped, filled with old invoices, coffee supply catalogs, and a framed picture of Richard's late wife. "Sit down," he commanded. Emma sat, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. She noticed a folder open on the desk, her employment records spread out like evidence. "I'm letting you go," Richard said without emotion. "We need someone more experienced, someone who can bring more professional energy to the cafe." The words hit Emma like a physical blow. She knew what he really meant. She was young, came from a working-class neighborhood, and didn't have fancy connections. Her mother's medical bills had been a constant struggle, and this job was their lifeline. "But sir," she started, her voice trembling slightly, "I've always been on time. I work hard. I know every customer's name, every regular's favorite drink." Richard wasn't listening. He had already made up his mind. "Your last paycheck will be processed next week. Return your uniform by Friday," he said, turning back to his paperwork. Emma felt the world closing in. She was only 26, had no other job prospects, and her mother's medication was expensive. The cafe had been more than a job, it was their hope, their connection to stability. As she walked out, the customers avoided her eyes. She knew small-town gossip would spread quickly. Another young woman fired, another dream crushed. Outside, the morning was crisp and cold. Her breath created small clouds in the chilly air. She thought about her mother waiting at home, how she would hide her tears and put on a brave face. They had survived tough times before, and they would survive this. A well-dressed gentleman sat in the corner of the cafe, watching everything. He had seen the entire scene unfold: Emma's professional demeanor, Richard's cold dismissal. His eyes followed her as she walked out, a mixture of curiosity and something else, perhaps recognition of her potential. Emma walked home, her mind racing. She had always been told to work hard, to be honest, to follow the rules. But sometimes, it seemed, that wasn't enough. The streets were quiet, the small city slowly waking up to another ordinary day. Little did Emma know, this moment of apparent failure was about to become the turning point of her entire life. The gentleman in the cafe was not just another customer. He was about to change everything. Her mother would be waiting. She would need to be strong, to show that one closed door didn't mean the end of the journey. Emma wiped away a single tear, straightened her shoulders, and continued walking. The city moved around her, unaware that a remarkable story was just beginning to unfold. Unexpected challenges often arrive dressed as failures, but they carry the seeds of our greatest transformations. Emma's journey was proof that resilience isn't about never falling, but about rising every single time you fall. The next morning, Emma sat in her small apartment's kitchen, nursing a cup of cheap instant coffee. Her mother, Martha, watched her carefully, sensing the weight of yesterday's dismissal. "Something will come up," Martha said softly, her withered hands folding a worn dish towel. "You've always been a fighter." Just then, the phone rang. Emma hesitated, wondering if it was another bill collector or a sympathetic friend offering condolences. The voice on the other end was smooth, professional, with a confidence that immediately caught her attention. "Ms. Wilson? This is Michael Edwards from Corporate Dining Solutions." Emma recognized him instantly, the well-dressed gentleman from the cafe. Her heart raced. How did he get her number? What did he want? Michael spoke with precision. I was at Hillside Cafe yesterday. I saw what happened with your dismissal. Would you be interested in discussing an opportunity? Her mind swirled with questions. Was this real? Corporate Dining Solutions was a prestigious company known throughout the city for managing high-end restaurant chains. Emma had only read about such places in local business magazines. Emma's hands trembled as she wrote down the details. Her mother watched, a glimmer of hope dancing in her tired eyes. The next morning, Emma dressed carefully. Her best blazer, slightly worn but still professional, her only pair of pressed black trousers. She arrived 15 minutes early, nervousness etched across her face. Michael Edwards was already seated, a leather portfolio open on the table. He was in his early 40s, distinguished, with kind eyes that seemed to see right through people. Tell me about yourself, he said, ordering her a cappuccino. Emma's story spilled out. Growing up in a working-class neighborhood, helping her mother through medical challenges, her passion for customer service, her dream of management. She spoke honestly, without pretense. Michael listened intently, making occasional notes. His fingers moved across a sleek tablet, occasionally tapping something that made Emma curious. Your dismissal wasn't about performance, Michael said finally. It was about prejudice. Small businesses often miss extraordinary talent by making narrow-minded decisions. He slid a document across the table. A job offer. Not just any job, a management position at one of their premier restaurant locations. We need people who understand service, Michael explained. People who see customers as humans, not transactions. I saw that in you during your last shift at Hillside Cafe. Emma could hardly breathe. The salary was more than she'd ever imagined. Health insurance. Retirement benefits. A chance to truly help her mother. Why me? She asked, her voice barely a whisper. Michael smiled. Talent isn't about fancy degrees or connections. It's about character. Dedication. Compassion. The coffee shop seemed to fade around them. Emma realized this was more than a job offer. This was an opportunity to rewrite her entire story. Her mother's medical bills. Her dreams of management. Her belief that hard work eventually pays off. Everything was changing in this single moment. I accept, Emma said, her voice steady and clear. Michael extended his hand. Welcome to Corporate Dining Solutions. As they shook hands, Emma knew her life had just transformed. One unexpected encounter had turned her greatest professional disappointment into her most significant opportunity. Sometimes, the universe has remarkable ways of redirecting our paths. What seems like a closed door is often just another route to our true destination. The coffee grew cold on the table, a silent witness to a moment that would change everything. Emma stood in the restaurant, her new manager's badge gleaming under the soft lighting. The staff watched her with a mixture of curiosity and skepticism. This was Riverside Diner, a popular local restaurant that had been struggling with low morale and high staff turnover. Michael had given her a clear mission: transform the workplace culture. Emma knew this wasn't just about managing a restaurant. This was about creating a space where people felt respected, valued, and motivated. Her first week was challenging. Some longtime employees viewed her as an outsider. Tom, the senior cook, would roll his eyes when she suggested changes. Lisa, the head waitress, whispered to others, questioning how a young woman could possibly understand restaurant management. But Emma was patient. She remembered her own struggles, the times she had felt overlooked and undervalued. She knew that true leadership wasn't about commanding, but about understanding. She started with small changes. Each morning, she would arrive early and prepare coffee for the staff. She learned everyone's names, their stories. She discovered that Tom had been working in kitchens for 30 years but had never been recognized for his skills. Lisa was putting herself through night school, balancing work and education. During staff meetings, Emma listened more than she spoke. She asked questions. What made them frustrated? What were their dreams? What could improve their work experience? The first breakthrough came during a busy Saturday evening. The restaurant was packed, orders were backing up, and tension was high. Instead of getting angry, Emma jumped into the kitchen. She helped Tom plate dishes, assisted Lisa with difficult customers, and kept everyone's spirits high. "We're a team," she would say. "We rise together, we handle challenges together." Her approach was different from previous managers. She didn't just give orders. She showed respect. When an employee made a mistake, she would offer guidance, not punishment. When someone did well, she made sure to acknowledge it publicly. Michael watched from a distance, impressed. He had seen many managers, but Emma was special. She understood that managing wasn't about controlling people, but about inspiring them. Slowly, things began to change. Staff started arriving early, not because they were forced, but because they wanted to. Customer reviews improved. The restaurant's atmosphere transformed from tense to collaborative. Emma introduced training programs. She helped Tom develop new recipe ideas. She supported Lisa's educational goals by creating flexible schedules. She implemented a recognition program where employees could nominate each other for outstanding performance. Her mother, Martha, would visit occasionally, watching her daughter with pride. "You're creating something special," she would tell Emma. "You're not just managing a restaurant. You're building a community." The turning point came 3 months into her management. During a staff dinner, Tom stood up and shared something unexpected. "I've worked in kitchens for decades," he said, his voice emotional. "But this is the first time I've felt truly respected." Tears welled in some employees' eyes. They recognized that Emma had done something remarkable. She had transformed a workplace from a mere job location to a place of mutual respect and growth. Michael called her into his office one afternoon. "You're changing more than just this restaurant," he told her. "You're showing what true leadership looks like." Emma thought about her journey. From being fired at Hillside Cafe to now managing Riverside Diner, her path had been unexpected but profound. She had turned her pain into an opportunity to create positive change. Her philosophy was simple: everyone deserves respect. Everyone has potential. A true leader doesn't create followers. A true leader creates more leaders. As the restaurant hummed with energy, Emma smiled. This was more than a job. This was her calling. The transformation had begun, one small act of kindness at a time. 6 months had passed since Emma took over Riverside Diner. The restaurant had become a beacon of hope in the community, a place where good food met genuine care. Her mother, Martha, watched the transformation with quiet pride. Every Sunday, she would visit the restaurant, sitting at her favorite corner table, observing her daughter's remarkable journey. The staff now knew her, treated her like family, always bringing her a special cup of tea and homemade pastry. Customer numbers had doubled. What was once a struggling local diner was now a bustling hub of community and connection. Emma had introduced community nights, where local groups could gather, where students received discounts, where elderly residents found a warm welcome. Michael Edwards continued to mentor her, impressed by her innovative approach. He saw in Emma something rare, a leader who understood that business was about people, not just profits. Tom, the senior cook, had developed a new menu section featuring local ingredients. Lisa had completed her first semester of business studies, inspired by the support she received. The restaurant staff were no longer just employees, they were a family. One particularly busy Friday evening changed everything. A local business leader, James Peterson, was dining with his team when he witnessed the restaurant's unique atmosphere. He watched Emma move between tables, solving a customer's concern, helping a young server, checking on an elderly couple. After his meal, James approached Emma. "I've been looking for someone to help restructure our corporate dining services," he said. "Would you be interested in a consulting role?" The offer was unexpected. It meant potentially leaving Riverside Diner, the place she had transformed. But it also meant a chance to create broader change. Her mother's medical treatments were becoming expensive. This opportunity could provide financial stability they had never known. Yet, Emma's loyalty to her team was strong. She discussed the opportunity with her staff. To her surprise, they were supportive. "You've taught us to grow," Tom said. "Now it's time for you to grow too." Michael advised her carefully. "Your impact can be larger," he explained. "Imagine helping other restaurants create the same positive culture you've built here." The decision wasn't easy. Riverside Diner had become more than a workplace. It was her home, her family. But sometimes, growth means taking risks. Emma accepted the consulting role, with an agreement to continue supporting Riverside Diner part-time. Her team planned a surprise farewell party, filled with laughter, tears, and shared memories. Her mother's eyes sparkled with pride. "Your father would have loved seeing this," she whispered, remembering the husband she had lost years ago. The consulting role was challenging. Emma traveled, visited different restaurants, shared her philosophy of compassionate leadership. She wasn't just fixing operational issues, she was changing workplace cultures. Companies started requesting her specifically. Her approach was unique. She didn't just provide business strategies, she helped organizations understand the human element of work. James Peterson's company became her primary client. They were impressed by her ability to transform workplace environments, increase staff retention, and improve overall business performance. Emma never forgot her roots. She would often return to Riverside Diner, spending time with her original team, hearing about their continued success. Her journey was a testament to resilience. From being unexpectedly fired to becoming a sought-after leadership consultant, she had transformed her pain into purpose. Martha watched her daughter's success, knowing that true wealth wasn't about money, but about making a meaningful difference in people's lives. Emma's story spread. She became a symbol of hope for workers who felt undervalued, a reminder that with compassion, hard work, and belief in oneself, anything was possible. The little girl from a working-class neighborhood had become a beacon of inspiration, proving that your past does not determine your future. Her mother's words always echoed in her mind: kindness is the most powerful business strategy. And indeed, Emma had proven just that.